how to let go of your anxious attachment style and become more securely attached. On the one hand, I'm a psychologist and I want to share important psychological information that helps you to understand yourself, but also how you can actually become securely attached. On the other hand, I just also want to share personal information where I felt like, this helped me over the years to become securely attached, because I do consider myself being actually anxiously attached in the past. Actually, quick story. When I was 17, I had my first relationship, and in this relationship, I've been rather anxiously attached. I've been very needy, very clingy. I was texting with my girlfriend every single day, even though we went to the same school, saw each other every day. And meeting her then also after school, this was like a drug for me. I needed this. Like, this was the purpose of my life. My entire focus and happiness was focused on this relationship. I needed this so much, like a drug addict. And though looking backwards also, I'm noticing that actually my girlfriend back then got more and more distant over the months. And she was not really into it anymore. Even after 6 months, we wanted to meet because we've been together then for 6 months, or at least I wanted to meet. And she said, well, maybe we should not meet. Maybe we meet in 2 weeks. I'm just afraid that we get annoyed about each other. And I was like, okay, then let's not meet. It's fine. And then I thought, well, maybe I should write her an 8-page love letter and just at least send her my love letter. Then she has at least something to read. Because I was so much in my world, everything was like fine. Even though if she's like withdrawing, I was such a drug addict. I needed this relationship so much, and I thought, oh no, there's no problem, and I'll just send her a love letter. And it was not weird. It was just first love. Like, I didn't know what to do, but I was overly anxiously attached. This is what was going on. And over the years, I was able to transcend that. And now I consider myself more being securely attached. And I want to share a couple of insights right here. Now, first of all, symptoms of being anxiously attached. There are actually 2 different types of people who act very differently, but are both anxiously attached. The first person is what I just shared. I was a people pleaser. I came across very needy. Everything was fine. I was doing everything for my girlfriend. There's never a problem. And though the other type of person is more like the controller, the one who's very demanding, complaining like, hey, why are you 10 minutes late? Why are you not bringing out the rubbish? And you're more of this helicopter demanding partner. But both of them are actually deeply just insecure and anxious. Just actually afraid of, hey, I might not be good enough. Please tell me that you still love me. Also, basically both need validation. Both of those people, controller and people pleaser, are both anxiously attached, and anxiously attached people are at a higher risk to be in abusive relationships because they need this external validation so much. It's like a drug. They need this relationship so much so they're willing to put up with this abusive relationship. They're willing to put up with all this shit because they need this so much. They need the love. They still do this. They stay in abusive relationships for years. And also, though, what I want to share is that, when I did some research on YouTube, and I feel like a lot of people think in a very categorical way, like you're either anxious or avoidant or secure. It's not a category. Nobody is 100% securely attached. That's maybe 0.001% of the population. It's always a mix, and also the context and situation is very important, which decides how you react. So maybe right now you used to be in a very toxic relationship, and you were maybe generally securely attached, but this toxic relationship brought out this anxious attachment style within you because you got so manipulated and so insecure and so unsure about your own opinions that you actually became very anxiously attached in this particular relationship, even though actually your core self is more secure generally. Also something very important to take notice. Also, what I found very interesting is that there's a common pattern that anxiously attached people often find themselves in a relationship with avoidantly attached people. And the reason is because people who are anxiously attached, they have the self-image of I am not good enough. Now, when they're in a relationship very needy, sooner or later, the avoidant attached people will withdraw. And this confirms your self-belief of, oh, I told it myself. I am not good enough. Here we are. This is the proof. This is subconsciously what's happening. And you subconsciously want to be right more than you want to be loved. Simply all confirms your belief. Now, the avoidant person often, though, also sticks around because they push you away, yes, but deeply inside, they're also insecurely attached and just want to be loved. And you're always coming back, even though they push you away. And that also, in a sense, makes them loved and be like, oh, like I'm pushing this person so much away, but still they love me. And I don't know how to react. And they always like push away and maybe cannot even reflect on that. But deep within, they actually like that you're always coming back and still love them despite their nasty behavior. So for both, it's toxic. And being in this relationship reinforces both behaviors because the avoidant person becomes more and more detached and needs their own space, even more than before, because you're so needy and so pushy. And you become more and more anxious and more needy and more demanding because your partner is always like avoiding it and detaching himself. So it's a reinforcing loop. And often the problem is also that you don't love what you need. You love what you're used to. And we're going to talk about later about your childhood and how you grew up. But often there are very similar patterns that maybe in your childhood you didn't really have a great relationship to your father or mother. And you felt like this must be love. And then you look for partners who are exactly that way, who don't give you the real love. And you think, well, that's how it's probably the way it is. That's how it should be. And that's why you're looking for that. So you love what you're used to and not what you actually need. People who are anxiously attached, also in their career, tend to be more followers. They avoid conflict. They don't want to be in like big leadership positions and take responsibility. They also often seek jobs that give them a lot of validation, becoming an actor or whatever. I'm not saying that actors are anxiously attached, but they seek jobs where they can get the external validation, because anxiously attached people always look from the outside because they think that they're not good enough. It's a self-esteem issue. They don't have great value, so they even ask themselves and don't have even true opinions because they think they're anyway not good. And they always think that other people are more valuable. There's this inner conflict. Everybody has a conflict of self-worth. How much do I give others value and how much do I give myself value? You know, maybe you're a narcissist and you think everybody else is stupid and you're great. And maybe you think you're not worthy and everybody else is smart. And that's what anxiously attached people tend to think. And that's why you often look outside and ask for others' opinion. And then maybe even get jobs where you get a lot of approval from outside. People clap and look at you and you're like, wow, I'm good enough. But the hole of self-worth will never be filled by always just seeking outside validation. Okay. Now, let's do some generalizations. I need to be careful here. So just take this as an idea and you reflect what makes sense here. But the common pattern with anxiously attached people is that their parents either been overly critical, always criticizing you, and over the years you noticed, yes, I'm not good enough and I need to do it right for others, and then you become so needy for the outer approval. Or your parents are overprotective and you never learned to be responsible on your own, to do something on your own. You don't even know what to do with your day sometimes. You're feeling lost and you're like, oh, I need a partner, and what would my partner like to do? And let's do what my partner likes to do. Because they never really actually grow an own opinion because their parents have been so overprotective. That could be also the case. So either overly critical parents or overprotective parents. Sometimes it's also something like in between where you notice just your parents are not reliable. Sometimes they're there, sometimes not. Maybe your parents struggle to make enough money and they work a lot and that's why they're not here. But sometimes then they're there and you're just generally getting insecure. Something in this direction. Yeah. And now I would actually like to move on to how you can heal and what you can do about that. And the very first step is exactly connected to your childhood. And it is about healing the inner child. And here's one sentence that blew my mind. I read it like 2 years ago. It's a quote that simply summarizes how you can heal trauma. And trauma is Greek. It means wound. You basically have a wound in some sense. And it is the following. Healing comes when you meet your wounded places with compassion. So I want you to reflect, why are you insecurely attached? When have you been hurt in life? When did things happen that you didn't expect and you were very disappointed about others? And I want you to go back to those places and think about those, and though meet them with a lot of compassionate understanding that you, being like the 6 or 7-year-old child, have felt very lost and felt a lot of pain. I think that's very important. A lot of people put themselves down for, oh damn it, I'm again anxiously attached, I'm doing this, I'm thinking this, I'm catastrophizing in my mind again, this is so stupid. And again, you're just again in the same pattern. You have a thought and then you think negatively even about the thought. And you put yourself down. But this is exactly again this pattern of being anxiously attached. A secure attached person would be more understanding towards your negative thoughts. So I want you to build some more compassion and meet those wounded places with compassion. Also, another very important point is basically exposure therapy. I want you to create and build deliberate courage. I want you to do things that make you uncomfortable and expose yourself to those fears. Maybe it is about going out for dinner on your own and sit there at a table. There are a lot of cultures where this is not super common. I'm, for example, from Germany. It's not very common to go out on your own, just have dinner on your own in a restaurant. People do it, but it's not a common thing. And I want you to, for example, do that if that feels uncomfortable. Or go for a coffee by yourself. Go for a walk by yourself. Start a hobby that you can do on your own. And I know it might feel insecure and weird, but try to do that. Do a puzzle by yourself. Just spend some time on your own, even if it's just an hour, and be like, okay, let me just go for a walk on my own right now. I don't know what to do with my day, but let me do that. Instead of immediately calling all my thousands of friends that I have, so I have somebody who's there who's giving me the feeling that I am okay. That's about exposure therapy. Another point, watch your wording. Because you in your mind, you probably always phrase it in a way that, oh damn it, I'm thinking that way again, and I'm insecure, and this person did probably that, and my partner probably doesn't love me anymore. And I want you to rephrase that and use the following prephrase. I have the thought that. And then you can think exactly what you always think. Just think, hey, I notice I'm having the thought that my partner doesn't love me anymore. But it's not like my partner doesn't love me anymore, or I'm so insecure. I have the thought that. It's a part of me. It's just a thought. It's not me. You have the self-image of I am not good enough. My partner doesn't like me. Well, I have the thought that my partner is a bit withdrawing these days. Use that wording, it will also change your feeling. Also, another big one, this was big for me. I want you to take responsibility, because in the past, when you're anxiously attached, you basically expect that your partner is making you happy. And I want you to understand that it's not the job of your partner to make you feel loved and being good enough. It's the other way around. You want to feel like you're good enough and you're fine, and this is the best position then to look for a partner and be fine together. But if you come into this relationship with this expectation that your partner needs to make you feel loved and you need to feel good enough, this is not going to work out. Also, if you then become so demanding and you expect that maybe it works out in the beginning when you both are still in this love phase, your partner is also super in love and you also feel like, yeah, I'm fully loved. But then you're always afraid that at some point, maybe he doesn't love you. Maybe he just loves you 99%. You're always afraid to lose something. But you cannot lose anything if you already feel fine within. I'm not saying that you now just need to snap with a finger and feel fine. I just want you to realize that your partner is not the responsibility to make you feel that way. It's not about them, it's about you taking responsibility. But with compassion, meet your wounded places with compassion. And lastly, this is also a huge one, it's about communication. First of all, don't say what you don't like, hey, you didn't text me yesterday, you didn't call me yesterday. Say what you like. Hey babe, I would love you to call me tomorrow. Also, and this is really the next level, is to talk openly about attachment styles. Actually, one of my ex-girlfriends, I really loved that. In a sense, she was a bit, I would say, avoidantly detached. Avoidantly attached, had an avoidant attachment style. Sometimes like pushing me away, which made me then also feel a bit insecure. Like, hey, why do you do that? And after like months, we managed to talk about that. And she even like cried a lot, and this was so like she talked about her past childhood, how she never really had a father, and then she doesn't really know sometimes how relationships work. And she's kind of like pushing things away because she doesn't also really know how it works. And she cried a lot and explained all the details there. And I found this such a beautiful moment. I was so honored to be there with her, but also that she's opening up, having so much trust and simply understanding her. I felt so close to her. And despite her maybe not changing in any way, I understand her and I could deal with it much better. And I also thought totally different, and I didn't catastrophize in my mind when she was again maybe a little bit avoidantly attached. So communicating openly, and be courageous to share your needs. It's a bit connected to this exposure therapy, where you expose yourself to difficult situations. For example, sharing with your partner how you feel and also what your needs are. How you would maybe like a relationship to look like, and not just always people pleasing and be fine with everything. And lastly, I want to share that maturity, so being a mature human being, is the ability to see that there is no good or evil. It's always a mix. Nobody's fully secure. Everybody has their weaknesses. You have your weaknesses, your partner has your weaknesses, and I want you to see that. That's life. And that's being a human being, it's messy to be a human being. That's normal. All right. If you want coaching, if you think this might be helpful to talk with somebody about this, to become more secure, then we can talk. There's a link below the description box, in the description box, where you can simply schedule a free call with me. Otherwise, share this video with somebody where you feel like they profit from it, and it might be helpful to take a deeper look into their anxious attachment style.